Hello guys and welcome to today's battle. I am playing Colorless featuring Porygon Z Acceleration and my opponent is playing Lightning Spread. No mulligans here, we just go straight into battle. My hand's not too shabby and I start with Rotom. My opponent is going first. He draws for turn, benches the Morpeko, uses the Stormy Mountains to get another little guy out on bench. And that will be the Magnemite. I am expecting this. He's gotta have Magneton in his deck and gonna pop it as soon as possible and passes right on over to me. I top deck my town map and immediately find out I am missing some things I really want. Snorlax, for example, was something I was gonna go search for with Nest Ball. Amber Candy means my Porygon Z is gonna take a while to get out, which kinda sucks against a spread deck. But I play the Nest Ball anyways and go grab the Oranguru and then uses Fan Rotom's ability to go grab my Porygon, my Cinccino, and my Squavit. Potentially I should have went for a different squad here, but these were the guys I chose to roll with. I get all my guys on my bench and manual attach Fairy Energy onto that Fan Rotom. My attack is live because my opponent gave me the Stormy Mountains. And then I squab my hand away. Honestly, that was kind of a misplay. I got Cinccino in hand, and if I went for P2 with Rotom Fan instead, that would probably have given me a slightly better board state. I forgot I was going to be taking a prize this turn. I Oranguru, grab two more guys. I get Chansey in hand, but I do not bench it because I am reserving that bench slot for my Snorlax. Now, my opponent sends up Morpeko and starts his turn off with Stormy Mountains. He grabs that Electabuzz. He is amping up for that future Electivire board hit and plays the Arizu. With the Arizu, he can get his Electivire, he can get the Magneton, and get that Luxray, which he can't play immediately since Swelling Flash lets him bench it if he is behind on prizes. He attaches counter gain to Morpeko, letting him use his second attack for 1 energy, and that is Spark, taking a KO and active because of weakness and doing 20 damage to Squavit on my bench. I promote my baby Minccino and immediately bench that Snorlax and the Chansey. I have the bench space now. And then I contemplate about attaching Therapeutic Energy. Instead, I decide to take my chances with the Squavit Oranguru combo to see if I could get a better supporter or something else on my board. I do not find anything too crazy though, just Special Charge, which I can't play. I Oranguru for 2 more cards, hoping for something. Originally, I thought Torment would mean I couldn't use my attack, but Snorlax's ability ignores secondary effects of attacks, so I decide to attach Jet Energy, pushing Snorlax to the active while passing my turn to my opponent. My opponent immediately starts off with evolving into Magneton and Electivire and uses Stormy Mountains to go get his baby sheep on board, Dynamotor soon. And then he uses Call Signal, searching his deck for 3 supporters, one of which I know has to be Lieutenant Surge, and 2 other mysteries. He grabs Colress's Tenacity while also settling on Ace Trainer. Ace Trainer shuffles his hand, he will get a fresh 6 and I will get a fresh 3. I get to take a prize now that Magneton has gotten his 3 supporters, and I decide to grab Rare Candy so it's at least in deck so I could potentially get a PZ out if needed. And with Colress's Tenacity, my opponent grabs Reversal and Silent Lab, turning off that Squab and Oranguru I spent my early turns getting. My opponent attaches Reversal onto his Electivire, bumps his own Stadium with Silent Lab, turning off Snorlax's ability as well, attaches Floatstone to his Marie, plays the Hisuian Heavy Ball, finding Regieleki in his prizes, which could be a decent checkmate piece. He benches Regieleki immediately, and then plays Ace Trainer, shuffling my hand into my deck, forcing me to draw 3 cards. Off of my opponent's 6 cards, he finds some juicy things like an Elekid, which could easily be used to chase up some kills in this game, and he decides to bench it. It also gives him a free retreater. That feels really good. My opponent pays for retreat, going into his Electivire, who has an activated reversal energy since he is behind on prizes. And with that reversal energy, it's able to do 50 spread to my entire board, taking a KO on Squavit in the process. Now my top deck is nothing glorious, it's just a rescue stretcher. In fact, I can't play anything in my hand. I could play Hex, but I don't think it's going to help me in this instance. And I sincerely believed that during his next turn, he was going to kill 3 of my guys on my bench. Minccino, Chansey, and Porygon all get KO'd if my opponent attacks with a high voltage current again. However, my opponent is now tied up on prizes and his reversal is no longer active. He starts his turn off with an Ultra Ball, discarding counter energy and Green's Exploration, getting that Flaffy back on board. And then he decides to manual attach to Electivire, so he could do at least the first attack on my Snorlax this next turn. He then pops that Flaffy, debates about who exactly to put it on. Morpeko's not a bad choice, neither is Luxray, but he ends up on Regieleki, which I personally believe is his best option to potentially get me in a checkmate scenario to get multiple prizes late game. Then he just hits me for damage on active. I top deck my double turbo energy, play the Hex, turning off his Flaffy next turn, and get a KO because I top decked out of it. I am still in this game. I grab Pokegear as my prize, and now my opponent goes into his Flaffy, who has free retreat at the moment. He looks through his discard pile, he has Via Seeker in hand, and plays Green Exploration. I have shut off all his abilities, and they no longer exist, so he can play greens. He goes and gets 2 trainers, deciding upon Professor's Letter and Escape Rope. He immediately plays the Professor's Letter, getting 2 lightning energy to hand, and he's gonna play that Escape Rope, forcing me to go up into someone, and I had a tough time deciding exactly who. If I went into something small like Minccino or Porygon, he could kill me with Morpeko, so instead I decide to go into a Rangaroo. My opponent promotes his Elekid, and I'm like, oh yeah, he can snipe whatever he wants right now. My opponent then manual attaches to his Regieleki, benching the Tapu Koko as well, and that is Elekid taking a 30 damage snipe, and he finds his counter catcher off of prizes, which he seemed very excited about. However, I top deck into Glory once again. I get Guzma, gust up that Regieleki, and take a KO with the Lax once more. I stay asleep though. Flaffy goes up again, Floatstone on him, and he decides to Dynamotor to one of his little guys, which is gonna be Morpeko. That Spark is gonna start chasing up some KOs here, and I'm not looking forward to it very much. Manual attachment goes to Luxray, and he plays Iono, shuffling my hand, putting it on my bottom of my deck, giving me 2 cards. I'm fine with this. My hand wasn't anything crazy. My opponent finds Blitzel, benches it so he can have Zebstrika option, and then goes into the Morpeko, who with counter gain can do 50 to Snorlax and chase up a kill on my little Minccino. I flip for a sweep, but I stay snoozing. I find Raihan off my top deck, and I can play it. I have that single fairy energy from early game when I attacked with Rodon. That goes immediately on to Chansey, and I search my deck, initially thinking about Escape Rope, but I settle upon Blissey. Not only will it make my Chansey live a little longer, but it's actually a decent attacker itself. I manual attach powerful energy to Blissey as well, wake up Snorlax with its ability, knock out the Morpeko, and take Artisan so I can bump Silent Lab. In hindsight, I probably should have grabbed Artisan earlier, but I grabbed Pokegear instead because I was really desperate to find a draw supporter. My opponent promotes the Flaffy and starts off his turn with a Buddy Poffin, finding the Tynamo and benching him so he can thin his deck that little bit more. He then uses Dynamotor to accelerate another energy onto his Luxray. At this point, that Luxray is how he's gonna collapse up the game, And then he plays a Guzma of his own, gusting up that Oranguru with 2 retreat costs into the active, and going into his Elekid, you can use his free attack to chase up a KO on my bench Snorlax. Now at this point, I need to retreat and attack and find an energy this turn to kill with Blissey. I bumped the stadium with Artisan, but don't use it before using Oranguru, a big misplay, and only find Iono. I play Cynthia and Caitlyn, discarding Porygon to get back Guzma and draw 3 cards. I find that energy, I find the Bunnelby, which I consider bunching, but then I pick back up because I don't want him to have another option for kill, and I manual attach to Blissey, so if I can get it into the active, I can attack, but unfortunately I cannot do it this turn. My opponent uses Dynamotor one more time, fully charging up that Luxray, and with that free retreat, he has game. And I was really close. I also had Crisis Punch, which means I could have attacked with Blissey without having to flip any coins. However, that turn I did not have the pivot switch, so I lost the game. I thought I lost that game a long time ago. It turned out a lot crazier than expected. I hope you guys enjoyed it, and if you did, be sure to share it with a friend. And I'll see you guys all in the next video. Bye!